This week on Houston Newsmakers, taking on gang violence in Houston. After two recent high-profile cases, we'll discuss their presence and the impact on crime in Houston and how HPD and the mayor's office are working to stop it. Plus, March is Women's History Month. We recognize efforts to help women reach their potential in the Houston community. And 100 years of beauty. We will explore how the Franklin Beauty School, a family-owned business here in Houston, has endured for decades.
From KPRC Channel 2, this is Houston Newsmakers with Cambrell Marshall.
And good morning. Welcome to Houston Newsmakers. I'm Sion Rhodes in for Cambrell Marshall. We begin with two stories that have recently made headlines with ties to gangs. The first, the shooting of two HPD officers in the line of duty. According to investigators, the 25-year-old man who was killed in a shootout during the incident was a known gang member. Records show he had a lengthy criminal history, including burglary, drugs, and weapons violations. The second, the violent murder of a teenage girl. Two alleged members, 22 and 18-year-olds, of the MS-13 gang, now facing charges. Details in the case are disturbing. The teen victim allegedly kidnapped and sexually assaulted before she was shot to death. And joining us now to take a closer look at gangs and crime prevention in Houston, Lieutenant Caroleta Johnson with HPD's gang unit and Patricia Harrington of the mayor's anti-gang office. So thank you both for joining us. Lieutenant Johnson, let's begin with you. Take us inside the investigation now into how this all got started with this case.
Well, I can't really comment on an active investigation, and it is not really appropriate for me to discuss how some of these gangs operate and discuss the specifics of the gangs, because we don't want to give them the notoriety, and we do not want to encourage them to compete with one another and commit more violent crime.
So take us through how HPD and the gang division handles them differently.
Okay, but what we do, we approach the gang violence from two different levels. We look at it from our preventive efforts. We have great officers, gang resistance education, and awareness training. And what these officers do, they go into the middle schools and they go into target elementary schools, and they interact positively with these children. They teach them how to set goals for themselves. The ultimate goal is to encourage them to continue their education. The ultimate goal is to help them become a contributing member of society. And we also look at it from an enforcement perspective as well. We have street level enforcement, we have crew officers, we have it's called crime reduction units. They go out on the streets every night and they are deployed based on where there may be an uptick of gang violence, where there may be an uptick of crime overall, and they conduct street level enforcement. They use intelligence so that they can go after the right particular criminals. And we also look at it from a mid-level perspective. We work closely with law enforcement from all over this Houston, city of Houston. We work with our neighboring law enforcement communities. We work with state, federal, county. We network across the country, because all of our gangs, they do not work inside of particular boundaries. We also work closely with the prosecutor's office. We work closely with the USA Attorney's office. And our goal is to target and what people have to remember is the most important thing about what a gang does is the organized crime component of that. And so what our goal is to go after that particular organized element and to pursue the highest level of prosecutions, because gang members, they're not afraid of jail time.
And talk to us about how much of the crime that police see is actually tied to gangs.
Well, we know that much of the crime is tied to gangs. We know that, for example, in 2016, we had 302 murders. And 57 of the murders, we were able to positively tie it to a particular gang. And what's important for the community to understand, our ability to understand this culture and to be able to tie these particular things to these particular gang members is through them, is through working together with law enforcement and working with the community, discussing and learning the culture. And we want to urge the community to listen to that culture and don't disregard it as petty, pettiness of youth, because it's not. It's very serious, and it's a threat to us. And it's not just a threat to our public safety, but it's a threat to our financial well-being as well, because these crimes, these particular gang members are involved in committing all different types of crime.
We want to drill down now and talk more about the MS gang. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, it is one of the largest criminal organizations in the country, thousands of members across the nation as well as Central America. Suspected members in New York also recently making headlines, charged for several violent murders, including that of 2 teenage girls. So we want to know, how big is their presence here in the Houston area?
We really don't have a hard number about their presence, but we do know that they are willing to commit violence. And again, it's not appropriate for me to comment on the active investigations, because we do not want to jeopardize any of the cases, because we want them to be able to get the appropriate charges for these individuals. But we do know that they disregard human life. And if there is any information that people may have pertaining to MS-13s, we have several mechanisms in place for them to report the information about these particular crimes or the individuals. The more we know, the better we are as a community, and the safer we can keep the communities.
And in both of these recent cases we've mentioned, the suspects are young men, one as young as 18. So Patricia, who are the type of people that join gangs and why?
So the Mayor's Anti-Gang Office is a program service office. I just want to say that first. What we do is we're not part of the police department. We're fully civilian staffed. We use a social work case management model to provide intervention services to young people who are turning to gangs and other types of delinquent behaviors. So I would say our average client that we're dealing with is probably male between maybe 16 to 21, 24, up to young adults. There are a lot of different individual and community risk factors that will draw them into gang involvement. And
we know that federal authorities have also been involved in Houston with MS gang violence and prevention. So talk to us about how you guys work with them for prevention.
Well, really what we're looking at with gang-involved youth is intervention. So part of the prevention is to keep young people from joining gangs in the first place. The intervention, though, is once we have identified that a young person is gang-involved and needs to be out of that situation. And so what we do is gang involvement and delinquent behaviors in general are indicators that something is going on or not going on in that young person's life. So we try to assess what is going on with them and address those needs that they may have. Now, I'm not saying that some of them are not committing crimes and they need to be held accountable by law enforcement, but some of them are having issues, family problems, individual and community risk factors that are drawing them in, and we try to assess those situations and set up service plans for them to link them to the proper services that they need to help them leave that gang lifestyle behind.
And how do you get the community involved, and how do you help parents who think their child may be a member of a gang?
Well, education is very key. So one of the first things that I would urge the community and parents to do is to educate yourself on gangs. And as Lieutenant mentioned, there are quite a few number of resources that parents can turn to. StopHoustonGangs.org is a website that the Texas Anti-Gang Task Force has put out there, and it's got a lot of good information that parents and young people as well, there's information for them too, so that they will understand the dangers and consequences of gang involvement. So education is really key.
All right, Lieutenant Johnson and Patricia Harrington, thanks for speaking with us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, coming up next, mentorship and women. We're going to explore a program that's helping women get back on their feet and a fresh start in the professional world. That's next when Houston Newsmakers continues.